Let's have a chat. Christ heals all things. You gotta get up on your knees and you gotta believe. You gotta talk to the Lord when your world feel down. You gotta build a connection when nobody around. You gotta lift him up in prayer and call him by his name. The value of his love can never be exchanged. When Satan get to creeping and you're thinking nobody's sleeping, just calling your guardian angel for a little healing. Raise your hands real high, high up in the sky, and tell the Lord, I'm a believer, I'm a believer, I'm a believer, I'm a believer. Are you believing? I'm a believer. Are you believing? I'm a believer. Yeah. Are you believing?
Come on in and let's chat. I am your host, Kristie Hunter, and I appreciate you joining us today for today's discussion. This is Let's Chat, that place where you heal those painful places in life through Christ. And if you're joining me via one of the social media platforms, feel free to jump in the comments. We'd love to interact with you. I also want to ask that you like and that you share. If you would like to send us a comment or a question via a text message, you can call us at 937-676-4371. So if you have been following Let's Chat for any length of time, or you follow me on any social media platform, you know that I am a hopeless romantic. I just love love. It is just, I'm just so excited about love. And I'm happy when I see people who are in love. And I'm happy when I see, love carried out in its many facets and platforms. And though, I believe in the power of love, sometimes love doesn't always go the way we want it to go. And sometimes things happen that people separate in the divorce. I'm a firm believer, though, that one of the best things that God gave us, except in addition to our relationship with him, is the relationship between a man and a woman. That is such a powerful thing if we do it the way God ordained it, and he stands by his covenants, and we can just watch it blossom and bloom. But like I was saying, in some cases, it doesn't always happen like that. But when it doesn't, we have to learn to heal, and we have to learn to move forward. So, joining me today is this wonderful, amazing woman of God that I admire. Her name is Anita Jenkins, and I'm just going to read a little bit about Anita so you'll know who she is. Anita is the Chief Executive Officer of Howard University Hospital, and she's been doing that since February of 21. She is a seasoned executive
2020.
leader with 25 years of healthcare experience. She was previously the president of Sycamore Medical Center in Dayton, Ohio. She has a career in healthcare that started as a respiratory therapist in Pittsburgh at UPMC and in Huntsville, Alabama. Ms. Jenkins holds an MBA from Walden University in Minneapolis. Say that fast. In Minnesota.
There it is.
Bachelor's degree, right? In business administration from Everett University in Danville, Virginia. She is actively involved in healthcare related activities. She serves as the vice chair of the District of Columbia Hospital Association, the co-chair for the Mayor's District of Columbia Healthcare Workforce Task Force, and as the board of directors for Kettering Kettering Health and Medical Center System, and a member of the Americans Essential Hospitals, in addition to her work with the American Hospital Association's Black Women CEOs and Regional Policy Board. Woo! This woman is phenomenal. Listen, she is very passionate about volunteerism and with healthcare organizations, and we are glad to have her with us today to
Thank you
share
for
in
that
our
time.
discussion on healing and remarrying after divorce. So, Anita, thank you so much for joining us.
It is my honor. Thank you so much for asking. It's a pleasure to be here. And hello, everyone.
Hey, so we don't have much time, but I just kind of want to get right into it.
Sure.
You have been very gracious and shared your journey, about divorce and remarrying. And so I guess my first question would be like, what were your first thoughts when you realized you were heading toward divorce? Because nobody gets married with the intent of divorce, right?
Sure. I mean, don't doubt for 1 minute that the journey of divorce is a death of a lifelong commitment, and you do feel those same 5 stages of grief, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That anger, that denial is first. And then you come to this conclusion, what can I do about it? Or then how can I make changes? And so then you come to this acceptance. What did I feel when I realized we were headed toward divorce? It took me a long time. Now, let's be very clear. Most of us who experience divorce are not surprised. We are not surprised that it goes down that path. My former husband, my ex-husband, was a pastor, and he lost his way. And when he started saying, I want out of here, and all those kinds of things, it was very hurtful. But I just wouldn't believe that that could happen to us. And so when he left, I waited, thinking, this can't happen. This won't happen. I will wait for him. This will be God's test for me in forgiveness. We will be that couple who's been through the fire and we've come out shining, because it just won't happen. I waited 3 years, and I realized this is where I have to accept that it's not going to work out. Now, I was not angry, and we can talk about that. At that point, I asked our children, I said, are you okay? I'm going to let your father go. I'm going to let him go. Really let him go in my mind, because he had been gone, but let him go.
But you have to go through that process.
And my children graciously gave permission. One said, I'm sorry, Mom. One said, you tried your best. And the other one said, it's about time. And so when you have that kind of affirmation, and that you know that you have followed God's guidelines, and that you are free according to God's guidelines, if you know what I'm saying.
Sure. I do.
Then you can freely walk. And I knew that this divorce was not love's fault. Not love's fault.
That's good, because I would have blamed love.
I'm not going to blame love. Love didn't go straight. Love didn't do this. Love didn't deceive me.
Okay.
Love didn't do it. It could be my fault, or for that matter, it could, or his fault, but it's not love's fault. So I still believe in love. I still believe that God has a love for us, that, and he made that plan for us, that we could experience it. So I asked him, and I'll go back depending on your questions, but I asked him the day we signed the papers in that courtroom. I said, Lord, I am asking you for someone to love. And statistics say that at my age, my stage, and my profession, that and my race, that I shouldn't find love, and that I would not find a man to marry. That's statistics.
Wow.
But God doesn't believe in statistics.
That's right.
He made our world. He does not believe in statistics. And you can't Google God's blessings.
Amen.
So you can't go online and say, well, how's my fate going to be? And how's my love going to be? That's just ridiculous.
Right. It is.
So you asked, did I learn some text? And there's so much power in be still.
Okay.
Because I was anxious. What should I do? How could I go? What should I do? And I changed the way I prayed. I would tell him, Lord, help him come back and show him this one. Put him in the place where he sees, or bring me the right person, and all that kind of stuff. And I literally wrote on a piece of paper, God, help me.
Gotcha.
I needed God's help.
And after you wrote that, was that when you began the healing process? Because I'm sure until you let go, you didn't begin to heal, right?
So it's interesting. I wrote that early on, and I didn't realize how that answer was perpetual. I wrote that, God help me, 2 months after he left, because I realized I was going to be financially unstable. And that's what happens to most women. Most women, you actually go through some financial instabilities. After a head of household, or after the male leaves. It was 2008, and I decided to be faithful, still continue faithfulness. And it was the weekend, and I said, I'm going to run out of money. This is not working out. I don't know how this is going to happen, but I'm going to write out my tithe. I wrote out my tithe and I put it in the envelope to take to church the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And I tore off the top of an envelope, the triangle,
Uh-huh.
tore it off because I knew in 2 more weeks I was not going to be able to pay my bills. And I know that that might be embarrassing for someone like me to say, or embarrassing to admit, but I'm bragging on God right now.
Amen.
I wrote on that triangle, God help me, and I shoved it in the bills.
Mm-hmm.
I went to church the next day and I put in tithe. Nobody knew my envelope prayer. Nobody knew that I was putting in this tithe check, knowing that some things were going to start collapsing in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Kristie, when I went back to work Monday, I was a director at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to work on that Monday. Tuesday, the president of the hospital said to me in the hallway, in passing, he said, "We know you're doing a good job. We're going to take care of you." Meanwhile, I had not told anyone because I was still in much denial. He's coming back, so I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm going through this turmoil at home. That was another thing too. The day he left, I came from work, and he had packed up his things and gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't expecting that.
Okay.
I got up and went to work the next day. I did the whole full court press, strong woman thing, and I went, "Oh, okay, I'm going to get up and go to work." And I was carrying that. So 2 months into this, my God help me prayer, I shoved it in the bills, paid the tithe, went to work. He says, "We're going to take care of you." Wednesday, I had an appointment with the COO, and she said, "We're promoting you to vice president, and it's already in your pay now." And it was enough for me to make bills.
That's the God we serve.
I'm just saying. And we may not always see that exactly in that way, but I promise you, when you believe in love and you believe in God and you step out and keep saying, "God, help me." Because I was being prescriptive about my prayers. I was showing, this is how I want you to bless me. This is how I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. Instead, I was still going through that divorce, and he said, "I'll take care of you. I will take care of you." And he had enough. Instead of me going through financial hardship, God has just taken my career every step of the way up and up and up over the last few years. And since I met my husband, even further because of his influence. Because of my husband's influence, my career even went further because I got some, "Hey, they want to talk to you." And I told him, I was like, "Oh, Kettering wants to talk to me." And he said, "Well, talk to them." And I was like, well, no. And he said, "Talk to them. This is an opportunity." I took it. And so my husband's influence was even more of a blessing.
So let's back up to that. How did you find, so you through the healing process, you learned to just be still and trust God.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else that you did on that journey that you could share with our viewers, or someone who's recently experiencing a divorce, or someone who's been single for a period of time?
Sure.
And then my next question would be, how did you find courage to love again?
So first of all, I was like, I'm going to get out there. I'm going. You had to act on what I was asking God to do.
Okay.
I asked him to find someone for me. So the day I got divorced, the day I signed the papers, I started a savings account for my wedding. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yes. I love it.
I started a savings account for my wedding because I was serious about this thing.
Okay.
I said, "Lord, I am asking you to find me a husband, and I will act it." Now, let's be clear. There were a few years of bad dating.
Ooh, dating is rough out here. Listen, this it's just
no shade, gentlemen, but I'm going to need for you to be nice. What in the world? They're still playing some of the game. Well,
yeah, I know, right? Like, we're too old for some of these things. I got you, but I understand. We're gonna not go down that rabbit hole.
So that's the difference. It took me a minute to understand. I knew what I wanted. It took me a minute to date someone. It's like, oh, that's not what they want.
Right.
It is very clear. I don't have to keep trying to create a mate for myself when I see this is what we do anyway. We try and date and mate and marry and create the man we want, or create the spouse that we think should be by my side. And I'm sorry, men don't want to be remade. That's not what they want to be. That's not what that's about. And so I thought, but I did go to a lot of basketball games, and I went to I went to places where I felt like I could expand my territory. I was formerly a married woman, a pastor's wife even. And so I was out there. So I started doing some fun things. I joined the urban ballroom dance class in Dayton, Ohio. And so to do some dancing and some line dancing, good, wholesome fun. Took up some new hobbies to put myself in place. And I've always liked sports. Now, don't get me wrong. So it did not bother me to be in those environments where there was sports, but that was fun. And I met my husband because I also used to take myself out to dinner, and I would take myself to the movies, and I would take myself, if somebody's coming into town and I don't have a girlfriend or a guy, I'm not going to stay home. I'm going to go see that. I'm going safely. I also traveled alone. So I did travel even out of the country by myself.
Okay. Now, definitely, I've learned that was one of the things that in my singleness that God has taken me on that journey, is the self-love, that I don't have to have a mate. And if I can do these things alone, that when I'm married, I can still do those things. And so I regularly take myself to dinner, and I regularly take myself to the movies. And so now the dancing part, I might have to find out what's in the area and go get in some dancing and stuff now.
Yes.
And
so
so
because that became a thing, because Kevin joined me right after we started dating. He's like, "You do what?" And I said, "I go to urban ballroom dancing." It's like it's a different footwork than Chicago stepping, or if you've ever heard of that. Do you know Tania Foster? Anyway, it's a wonderful community.
Okay.
Wonderful community of grown folks listening to great soul music, and you learn how to dance, and so they have classes once a week, I think, and then there's another set of classes at Deja Vu. Anyway, shameless plug.
How did you find love again? How did you find the courage to find love again?
It's worth the risk. It is worth the risk of dating and even getting a little bit more heartbroken. I did date a gentleman it was a little bit more serious, and for months, and we didn't break up.
Gotcha.
He suddenly ghosted me.
And you were like, "Hey, thank you."
No.
Okay.
It was extremely painful, and I was very sad.
Okay.
It was extremely painful. But
okay,
you have to sit back and act like you're your own girlfriend.
Okay.
Your own girlfriend would say, if somebody's going to ghost you, he's not worth your love. He's not worth your pain. Girl, put that you have to act like you're your own girlfriend.
Okay.
And find that girlfriend who will speak truth to you.
Gotcha. I have them. I have a whole circle of them. They'll tell me the truth in a minute. Like, leave that boy alone. Leave that man alone. That's not for you.
It was incredibly painful. So on that journey, I did get my heart broken a little bit. Heartbroken because I had these high hopes and a savings account, right?
Right.
So I was working on these things, and I had full faith. God's going to help me with this. And I have to be practical. He's not going to give you something that's not going to work out. So you have to also sit back and say, thank you. Thank you for this journey, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and plans to give you hope, right? So that memory verse is very profound in that I know the plans I have for you. We skip to the end. I'm skipping to the wedding. God's plan is to make me stronger, to put me in the place, to put my future husband in the place. How's his timing going on? What's happening in his life that he has to be also ready? So we've also got to be, that Boaz has to be in the field at the right time, right? So if he's not ready and I'm not ready, then God has that timing to work. So you got to work your foolishness while God's getting you ready, I felt.
Yeah.
The plans for you
Mhm.
are plans, and you skip to the end and say, this is what I want. But the plan, that path, that journey, that preparation, that training is a
Mhm.
little bit more tricky. You just have to trust him through that. And
Yes.
that makes it way more practical. You just go, okay, all
That's
right.
funny because that was my post today. Lord, I trust you, because this
I saw
single
that.
journey can definitely be um a struggle. And it's not that I don't like me. You know what I mean? I love me. I
Yes,
enjoy me, but it's something about that companionship, right? That
yes,
we just desire, because God never created us
yes.
to be alone.
Mhm.
And
And
so
that's a fair request. Don't think you're crazy. Don't think you're unreasonable. It is a fair request for you to ask of God to bring you a partner. That is so. I never apologize or feel some kind of way for asking for what God has in store for us,
well,
for
you
what
know,
God planned for us.
one of the things you said I want to jump back to is that we
Please.
have a habit of dating and trying to create the man we want, right? And
Mhm.
so because now that has been my habit, because I'm a fixer, right? I'm the girl that dates the potential, and I hate that about me. Not hate, I mean that's a strong word. I dislike that I have that quality. And I'm learning that it's better for me to learn to support the person
Yeah.
if they're in that journey, and let them be on that journey. And if they're right for me, once they get it right, right? If God
Yeah.
brings them back, it's who he has for me, instead of being in the relationship and trying to
Yes.
help them
Yes.
achieve. But ultimately, I can't help them achieve because they have to do it for themselves.
Sure.
I don't, because if you try to do it for me, right, then that goes against God, because then that's idolizing, right? And
Yes.
so we have to be so careful with that. And so it's always something that I keep in mind, in the back of my mind now in my singleness, that in the past I didn't.
Yeah. We often date people that we see their resume. We know there's things missing on the resume, or we even interview them and you know they're not a good fit, yet you hire them.
Yes. Why?
Why? Why? You know that's sometimes you really realize, I don't know, something about the way he does this or something about that
Mhm.
scares me a little bit. Something about that, may be a problem. And we women tend to be the fixers, but I promise you, men do the same thing.
Okay.
They look at us, and sometimes they like what they see on resume, or they like what they see on the paper
Hmm.
or externally, and they know good and well this woman is not a fit for them for their future.
Hmm.
They know. Is it mind? Is it body? Is it spirit? Is it booty? They know that,
Hmm.
they know that not all of it is a good fit, and they just
Right.
focus on one thing. Well, that fits, but this doesn't. And if
Right.
you go now, will we always find the perfect man or woman?
No.
If you've got a mixed crowd listening to this, perfection doesn't exist in humanity. So
It
you
does.
also have to be patient with what's not perfect on your
Mhm.
resume,
Mhm.
um, versus what's good for you. What's
Yeah.
good for you. My husband, when I met him, was good for me. He is a rudder. You know what a rudder is on a
No.
boat?
Oh,
It,
yes.
it guides the boat underneath it.
Mhm.
He is a rudder. He is balanced. He is stable.
Mhm.
He is practical, and I needed that all day.
Okay.
And when you find that, and some women need fun and energy and all that. I got some of that myself, but he and I balanced because um, I believe God brought him to me to be that other side of my yin and yang. Can I live without a man because I can support myself on my paycheck? Yes.
Yeah.
But do I need that stabilizing force to walk with me and hold my hand through life? Absolutely. I
I
need
need that. And that's it, because
that.
some women, not every woman is a wife. And when you are a wife, you know it. And
Mhm.
one thing about me is I am a wife. Hands down, everything about me
Sure.
is I
Sure.
am I am a wife, and I'm the wife that caters to her husband. It is so I'm just like I got it really bad.
Sure.
And it's crazy that you said that because I have the energetic, I have the fun, and at the same time I have the seriousness, but sometimes I'm too serious, right? So I need that person that can make me laugh and recenter me when I'm
Mhm.
way too high, and bring me that balance. So
Well,
that's true, because just because I'm self-sufficient and can self-sustain doesn't mean that I
sure,
don't desire to have companionship or a husband
sure.
that is the opposite, so that we can have that balance. And really, one of the things I shared with my children was that you're not going to get a perfect mate, but you're going to, but you have to decide what you can live with about that person and
Mhm.
what you can't.
Because
And
he's doing the same thing. He or she's doing the same thing.
Mhm.
They also have there's probably some little list that is a little bit, but they love you and they'll put up with it. Do I talk too much, or do I,
Mhm.
or whatever that thing
That is,
is
yeah,
that is a little bit different from them, they still love you enough to be that balance for you. One thing, if I could add,
hmm,
we often are looking for, I don't know, husbands or showpieces or something like that. But what we need in this life is a companion.
yeah,
We need
partner.
who is with you, a partner, who is with you to help you up, who is with you when you're down, and they can pull you back up, and conversely, you are there to help them. So that companionship, that ride or die partnership can look can be there in a very various ways, and
Yeah,
he doesn't have to be um some mock-up that you drew. He's got to be this tall and this that and that's that kind of stuff, because
I got rid of a list a long time ago.
I
Those
got rid of,
lists used to
well,
be in trouble.
I had a must be 6'2" ridiculous thing. Well, it had everything to do with, what my ex is not. And that's not fair to humanity,
Sure,
to
and
to
that's
make some
true.
list based on your experiences.
Right. Because then we miss out on the opportunity to love.
It's silly.
And
Mhm.
that ride or die may not be that 6 foot 250, you know what I mean,
Silly,
linebacker
silly.
type person. He
Mhm.
may be 5'10",
That's
200
exactly right.
pounds. You know
That's
what I
exactly
mean?
right.
But if he loves you, and that's in this day and age, because we live in a culture, and I know we only got a few minutes, that's really kind of sex driven. Everybody wants to test everything before they
Yes.
buy it. We really have to get into the mindset of trying to do things differently and date differently. I just believe that when I find my husband, or excuse me, correction, when he finds me, let me say that the correct way, I'm going to know it instantly, because he'll be ordained by God, and it'll flow really smoothly, and it won't look like anything I've ever experienced, and I won't have to fix it.
I challenged that when you said that I'll know it instantly.
Hmm.
When my husband and I met, and for the viewing public, and we can talk about this next time. I took
Hmm.
myself out to dinner, and I pulled in the driveway. I mean, in
Hmm.
the parking lot of the restaurant. He pulled up beside me. He opened the door for me just because he was a gentleman, and the greeter made a mistake and said table for two. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who that is." You know this? You don't know this story?
I do. I remember you telling us. Go ahead.
"Well, I don't know who that is." He says, "Well, may I buy you dinner?" And I thought about it for a second. I was like, what harm could it be? I am out here by myself. We sat there for 3 hours just talking and got to know each other. He said, "Oh, I'd never get married again." And I was like, well, because the both of us are divorced.
Hmm.
And we listened to music, we ate, we talked, we showed the pictures of, these are our children. This is this. And he said, um, "Here's my card. Text me and let me know you got home safely." When I got home, I flopped across my bed and I went, huh, I have never been at such peace
That's
in
it.
meeting someone. I wasn't trying to be something else. I wasn't trying to be cute. I don't even know what am I looking at? He made me feel so safe. Instantly made me feel so at peace. I just thought, what a good man I met tonight. And when you feel that, look at God.
Look at God.
That's what I think. Look at God.
Awesome. Anita, thank you so much. And I am looking forward to continuing our discussion next week
My pleasure.
on remarrying and then healing and finding love again. And I'm just excited, and I'm glad one of our viewers said this is good. So we're really, tapping into some conversation. So we'll go in depth next time. And maybe if Kevin can join us, please have him do that. And we can get his perspective on, why he never wanted to marry again.
It is my honor. Thank you so much for having me. Many blessings to you and all your listeners.
You as well. Thank you so much.
All righty. Bye.
Let's have a chat. Christ says all things. You gotta get up on your knees and you gotta believe. You gotta talk to the Lord when your world feels down. You gotta build a connection when nobody around. You gotta lift him up in prayer and call him by his name. The value of his love can never be exchanged. When Satan get the creeping and you're thinking nobody's sleeping, just calling your guardian angel for a little healing. Raise your hands real high, high up in the sky, and tell the Lord, I'm a believer, I'm a believer, I'm a believer, I'm a believer. Are you believing? I'm a believer. Are you believing? I'm a believer. Yeah. Are you believing?
Thank you so much.